Hello everyone, Interact here again with another episode of Entity Education. In this episode we're going to be covering Tarhos Kovács, I believe is how you pronounce it, probably better known as the Knight. As always, timestamps in the description below and on the time track in the chapters thingy. So the Knight has the same base stats as all normal killers because behavior can only innovate every once in a while, and they spent their yearly budget on making Wesker have a slightly larger than average tear radius. So the Knight just has your normal base movement speed of 4.6 meters per second or 115% and a tear radius of 32 meters, but he does have a very sick Type 18B sword, which is one of my favorites. So now let's talk about the Knight's power. Guardia Compagnia, despite being of Sicilian descent, my Italian pronunciation is terrible, so sorry about that. Once again, a fair amount goes into this one, but there isn't a passive power, so it might actually be shorter than normal. I'll start off by just talking about the general way that the power works, and then break down the three unique guards that the Knight will cycle through. So let's start at the very basics, the way that you actually summon your guards. By pressing mouse 2 on PC, of course, you'll enter into the patrol route drawing state thing. You don't need to hold down mouse 2, just pressing it will enter you into the state. Any movement you do while doing this will be the route that your guard will follow during their patrol, and you'll see it drawn with the light blue-green squiggly line behind you. While in this patrol drawing state, you'll move at a blistering 13.8 meters per second or 345% speed. The maximum length that you can actually draw a patrol pattern is only 32 meters, so sorry, you probably won't be able to draw any genitals. You will get a sound notification and your screen will flicker slightly once you've reached about 70% of the maximum drawing amount, and if you do actually reach the maximum of 32 meters, it will just instantly send out the guard and kick you back to being the Knight. Another thing that you can do while in this patrol route drawing state is to issue guards orders. This can be done by looking at a downed pallet or a breakable wall that you want them to break, or a generator that you want them to kick, and then pressing mouse 1. You'll only actually get this prompt if you're within 6 meters of the object that you want to order them to interact with, so you can't kind of do it cross map, although that would be kind of neat. If you do use any of your guards to do the orders to break pallets, walls, or kick generators, it will take them 6 seconds to do by default, which is significantly longer than doing it yourself. Once you are finished drawing your happy little patrol pattern, you can exit it by pressing mouse 2 again. Once finished, you will pretty much instantly gain control of the Knight, and the guard will spawn on the opposite end of the patrol path, so where you ended the patrol path, and come back towards where you began it after 1.5 seconds, and then they will start patrolling back and forth. Guards will run these patrol routes until either the timer for patrolling runs out, or a survivor steps into their detection radius circle that all players can see spawning out from the guards. While you do have one of your guards out, you will not be able to summon any more guards until they despawn, either from finishing their patrol time, finishing hunting a survivor, having their banner taken, or you can smack them with your large sword to manually despawn them. Even after all of that, there's an additional 3-second cooldown after a guard is despawned by any of those listed methods before you can even summon another one by drawing a patrol route. Now, as I said, each guard does have their own little quirks and special numbers and behaviors, but I'll start off by just talking about the base amounts and then go into how each guard is special after that. Once a guard starts patrolling, which they will do at a speed of 3.4 meters per second or 85% speed, and for a default time of 12 seconds, they will have their circle grow out, their circle radius detection thingy grow out of them from a tiny 2 meters to 8 meters over a period of 1 second. This is their detection radius circle. Any survivor who steps into the circle will become detected, although it can be a bit finicky at times, and the guard will begin chasing them after a brief 2.5 seconds, which the guard will spend traveling to the location that the survivor was detected. And during this time, the guard will just ghost through walls, obstacles, trees, anything in their way. Once they reach the detection point and the 2.5 seconds is ended, they will start chasing the survivor for up to 12 seconds at a speed of 4.1 meters per second or 102.5% speed. The survivor that is being hunted will have a green cloud circle that will slowly drain down on their character portrait, so you'll know how long that they're being hunted for and which survivor is currently being hunted. Guards in this hunting state are able to just walk through pallets and warp through vaults, but will be slowed down to 2.2 meters per second or 55% speed when doing either of these things, I assume just to allow survivors to kind of regain their distance from the guard. This doesn't actually work so well if a survivor has a drop at the end of a vault, like the top of the Thompson house or Dead Dog Saloon's drop down, any of those things, since guards kind of drop way faster than survivors and they don't have a fall stagger, so it's most likely a free hit if a survivor tries to do one of those long drops and doesn't have balanced landing. 5 seconds after a guard begins a chase, that guard will place down a banner, which a survivor can interact with to desummon the guard, as well as gaining the haste and endurance status effects for 3 seconds. Guards will also despawn if the knight or the guard hit the survivor that is being hunted, or if the hunted survivor unhooks another survivor, so you can't really use them to camp hooks. If a guard manages to down a survivor by some miracle, the knight will get a killer instinct notification at the downed survivor's location. If the survivor for some reason makes the mistake of jumping into a locker while being hunted, the guard will simply walk up to the locker, open it, and do a little animation where they damage them, and then disappear. This can down a survivor if they were already injured, but if they were healthy, they will not instantly be downed, as they would if you were to be the one picking them out of the locker. They'll just take 1 state of damage. So now let's actually break down the 3 unique guards and what makes them so unique. The first summon that you'll get is the Carnifex, whose icon is the skull. The Carnifex benefits are that he is able to do orders, so kicking pallets, breaking walls, and kicking generators, in 2 seconds instead of 6. In addition, he will hunt for 24 seconds, so double the amount of time of the normal guard hunt duration, and his banner won't spawn until 10 seconds after the hunt has begun. The second unique summon that you'll get is the Assassin, whose icon is the hilt of a sword. The Assassin's benefit is that he moves at 4.4 meters per second, or 110% speed while hunting, as well as dealing deep wounds to any survivor that he hits during a hunt. And the third and final unique summon that you'll get is the Jailer, whose icon is 2 crossed keys. The Jailer's benefits are that he patrols for 24 seconds, will move at a faster speed of 4.1 meters per second or 102.5% speed while patrolling, and his patrol detection circle maximum is larger at 14 meters. Now with that out of the way, let's talk about his add-ons. We start off with the common tier with Tattered Tabard. This add-on will increase patrol time for all guards by 6 seconds. This means that for the Jailer, it will become 30 seconds of patrolling, and for the other 2 guards, it will become 18 seconds of patrolling. Next up is Pillaged Mead. This add-on will decrease the amount of time it takes for a guard to complete their order action by 25%. This means that it will take Carnifex 1.5 seconds to break a pallet or a wall, and the other guards will take 4.5 seconds. Following that, we have Map of the Realm. This add-on will increase the detection range of guards on patrol by 4 meters, bringing it up to 18 meters for the Jailer and 12 meters for the other 2 guards. And the final common add-on is Gritty Lump. This add-on will increase the movement speed of guards on patrol by 9%. This means that the movement speed of the Jailer will be increased to 4.469 nice meters per second, or 111.75% speed, and the other 2 guards will move at 3.706 meters per second, or 92.65% speed. Moving on to the uncommon add-ons now, we start with Treated Blade. This add-on will make it so while cycling through your guards, the Assassin will appear twice in a row. Next up is Dried Horse Meat. This add-on will increase the amount of time that a guard will hunt a survivor by 4 seconds, bringing it up to 28 seconds total for the Carnifex to hunt, and 16 seconds total for the other 2. Following that is Cold Steel Manacles. This add-on will make it so while cycling through your guards, the Jailer will appear twice in a row. Pretty much the same as the other one, but the Jailer this time. And next up is Call to Arms. This add-on will increase the length of a patrol path maximum distance by 10 meters, and while creating patrol paths, your movement speed will be increased by 25%. This means that the maximum length of a patrol path will be increased to 42 meters, and your movement speed while drawing will actually become 16 meters per second or 400% speed. I really don't know why this is called a 25% increase. It's hard-coded to add 2.2 meters per second to your speed while in the patrol path drawing state thing. It's just your classic behavior 25%, I guess. And then finally, the uncommon last one is Battle Axe Head. This add-on will make it so that the Carnifex will appear twice in a row while you're cycling through your guards. Moving on to rare add-ons now, we start with Town Watch's Torch. This add-on will make it so when a survivor escapes a guard hunt without being hit 3 times, so the 3rd time that a survivor escapes being hunted by guards without being hit, the knight will gain the undetectable status effect for only 25 seconds. Next up is Ironworker's Tongs. This add-on will make it so when a survivor escapes a guard hunt successfully, they will suffer from the Oblivious status effect for 20 seconds. Following that is Grim Iron Mask. This add-on will make survivors suffer from the Blindness status effect for 60 seconds after being detected by a guard. Following that is Chainmail Fragment. This add-on will make all guards inflict the Hemorrhage status effect whenever they damage a survivor. And the final rare add-on is Broken Hilt. This add-on will make all guards inflict the Mangled status effect if they damage a survivor. Going up a tier now, the first very rare add-on is Lightweight Greaves. This add-on will increase the knight's movement speed by 10% for 6 seconds after summoning the jailer. This will bring your movement speed up to 5.06 meters per second or 126.5% speed for those 6 seconds. Following that is Healing Poultice. This add-on will make all survivors within 24 meters from the assassin's initial position scream and reveal their location for 3 seconds after the assassin is summoned. Next up is Flint and Steel. This add-on will make the knight able to see the aura of survivors within 24 meters of an unbroken dropped pallet for 5 seconds after summoning the Carnifex. And finally, we have the Blacksmith's Hammer. This add-on will make any survivor who escapes a hunt by any method other than capturing the flag suffer from the Hindered and Exhausted status effects for 15 seconds. So let's talk about the Knight's ultra rare add-ons now. We start with Knight's Contract. This add-on will make every 4th guard summoned cause all survivors within 12 meters of that guard suffer from the Exposed status effect for 8 seconds. After making Wesker's ultra rare add-on work for a reasonable amount of time for the Exposed status effect, they just went straight back to their old ways and made it only last for 8 seconds again. It was good while it lasted, I guess. And the final ultra rare add-on and final add-on in general is Iridescent Company Banner. This add-on will do a few things. Firstly, while a survivor is being hunted by a guard, spikes will block the exit gate for that hunted survivor. Whenever the hunted survivor vaults, that vault location will become blocked for all survivors for the remaining duration of the hunt. And finally, while creating a patrol path for guards, passing through a vault location will block those vaults for 15 seconds. Now let's get into the teachable perks that you'll unlock when you put your blood points into the Twins rework. First, you'll unlock the teachable for the perk Nowhere to Hide. Nowhere to Hide will make it so that after kicking a generator, the aura of all survivors within 24 meters of you will be revealed to you for 3/4/5 seconds. Do keep in mind this is actually based on where you are currently located for those 5 seconds, not where the generator is located. So if you kick a generator and then move, anything within 24 meters of you will be revealed. The second teachable perk that you will unlock is Hex Face the Darkness. Hex Face the Darkness is already a bit unique since it doesn't actually make a hexstone spawn at the beginning of the match like most normal hexes. Instead, once you injure a survivor by any means, if there is a remaining dull totem on the map, Hex Face the Darkness will activate on one of those dull totems and curse the survivor you injured. All non-cursed survivors will scream every 35/30/25 seconds while they are outside of the killer's terror radius, revealing their location with the scream bubble notifications for 2 seconds. Hex Face the Darkness will deactivate if the cursed survivor is put into the dying state, heals up, or if the totem is cleansed. If the totem does manage to get cleansed by a survivor before deactivating, then Hex Face the Darkness will deactivate for the rest of the match. And the final teachable perk that you'll unlock is Hubris. Hubris will make any survivor who stuns the killer suffer from the exposed status effect for 10/15/20 seconds and has a cooldown of 20 seconds. So now let's talk about some tips for playing Armored Sadako. Let me start off by saying that the playstyle that Behavior seems to have designed the Knight for just doesn't really work. There are too many things wrong with this kit to warrant attempting to use your guards to patrol an area and chase survivors off of objectives, like the fact that you can only have a single guard out at a time, they only patrol for 12 seconds, the AI is just not there yet. You get the point. What does actually work while playing the Knight is the much more boring and linear playstyle of chasing a survivor normally until they reach a pallet loop, then just spawning a guard instantly at the pallet, and basically having a second killer chase the survivor around the pallet, and then they either leave the loop, or they get hit, or both. In terms of guard usage outside of that really boring playstyle, you can use the Carnifex and his break speed to bust open walls and pallets for you, while you continue to move on, maybe to patrol another generator or continue a chase or something. You can use the Assassin and Jailer to break things, but 6 seconds is really bad, and guards don't apply the same 2.5% of the progress kick thing that they added a little while back for killers, so I wouldn't really use them to kick generators. I would only really use them to kick pallets or walls. And keep in mind that for those 6 seconds that you have them out breaking the wall or whatever, you won't be able to use your power in case you do catch a survivor and you need to get them at a loop. And I mean, honestly, that's really all there is to playing the Knight. It's really boring, and I wish they somehow made the playstyle that they wanted him to have, where, you know, you send out guards and they patrol generators for you and they chase them off. I want that playstyle to work, but it just doesn't mesh with the current state of how Dead by Daylight works and the way that he is currently coded and functions. A killer with that much setup as well will typically just not really be that good, because the game is kind of all about loops. So now let's talk about perk builds. We all probably know what I'm going to say here, but the Knight is not really strong enough to warrant anything other than your normal meta build. He doesn't really have that huge macro game, so you're pretty much just going to be wanting to run your standard gen kick build of like Call of Brine, Eruption, Brutal Strength, and you can even throw in Nowhere to Hide, his new perk, since getting tracking out of kicking gens while you're applying that Call of Brine and Eruption to them is actually really sick. And there's no cooldown to it, so you can kind of get really good tracking out of it, as long as you're, you know, kicking the gen and then moving on to an area you think survivors might be hiding. So now let's move on to some meme builds for the kind of, but not really, crossover with For Honor. The first meme build is Oops all whichever guard you like the best. For this build, bring whichever perks you want, and then the add-ons that allow you to use whichever specific guard you like twice, and then the very rare add-on that buffs that specific guard. And then just, you know, use that guard. This way survivors know which one of the 3 guards is your husbando. And honestly, I can't come up with anything compelling enough for a second build. The Knight's add-ons are already spread thin due to his kit being about 3 specific summons that, like, 3/10 of his add-ons, 6 out of the 20, are dedicated to just one of your 3 separate guards. You could do a Mad Grit build, since him doing the pommel strike while carrying survivors is hilarious, and Mad Grit builds in general are just hilarious since the animations are not designed to be spammed that quickly. And I do kind of like how he just kind of lightly taps them with the pommel, but that's, I mean, you know, that's not specific to the Knight. That's hilarious on any killer. And yeah, I mean, that's it for the Entity Education episode covering, I'm going to mispronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try. Probably better known as the Knight. As always, links to Patreon and social media, Discord, all that stuff in the description on the screen. Thanks as always for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.